Hello and welcome to this month's edition of Chats with the Chairman. I'm your host and chair of the IICRC Board of Directors, Kevin Pearson. This show is all about the volunteers of the IICRC, how they got involved, why they got involved, and along the way we try to find out a few interesting facts or stories about their time in the IICRC. So as always, if you have any questions for us, you can enter them into the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. And if we don't get to your questions and you still would like it answered, feel free to email me and I will get back to you. So my email address is on the screen there. And once you email me, I'll get back to you quickly. So this month's guest is a IICRC Board of Director. He's also an author. He's been published, had a couple of articles published, especially here recently. He's been chair and vice chair of several really important task forces at the IICRC. So welcome to the show, Mark Drozdov. Hey, Mark, how's it going? I see we got the bungee jump in.
Quite an intro.
Yeah, how about that? That looked like a bungee jump that you did at the Houston Livestock Show. Is that correct?
That is correct. It was my first rodeo.
There you go. There you go. See, I thought that looked familiar because I don't know how many times I've been to the Houston Livestock Show and rodeo over the years since I was a little kid. So it's a big thing in the Houston area. So they actually have over 32,000 volunteers that put that show on. So it's a big deal. So,
yeah. Actually, one of my wife's cousins is a big time volunteer. And he was the one that brought me there because he said he was going to do the bungee jump. And of course, at the last moment, he chickened out. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing it. And it was 140 feet down, no safety net. And that's kind of a reflection of how my life has been. No safety net.
Hey, so I know a little bit about you, and I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years that you've been on the board. But I don't know how many of our listeners know that much about you. So why don't you kind of tell us maybe how you got into the industry, how you heard about IICRC and that kind of thing?
Yes. So about 30 years ago, after working for a number of small and large firms in the environmental remediation field, I started my own firm with my wife, and I was employee number one. We have been acquired since, when we sold the company, we employed 120 people, and it was acquired by a 120-year-old British standards institution. So running my firm, doing a lot of exciting and executing terrific projects, working with beautiful clients, and I really enjoyed it. I'm proud of the work we've completed. We worked on some very notable projects here in New York, from the $5 billion campus renovation at the United Nations. We were the first environmental consultant called in to post 9/11 disaster. I worked there for many, many years, seen a lot of stuff there post 9/11. But otherwise, every hazard out there and I call it PALMS, PCBs, asbestos, lead, mold, silica is what I've been involved with all my life. And when it came to mold, New York State had a new mold law back in 2015, and the law referenced three entities. It was the US EPA, it was the New York City Department of Health, and IICRC. And I said, really? What is it that IICRC has that is on the same level with the United States Environmental Protection Agency and New York City Department of Health, which was well regarded in handling stucky buttress and other mold contamination protocols. And I got involved and I dove into the IICRC world, which I knew of before, but not to that level. And I read up on every standard, and I got involved volunteering on development of the field guide and working with Lee Center there, and got called to work on some other standards, and went to Vegas and attended AIM and met a lot of beautiful people, you included, Kevin.
Right.
And I said, who are these people? And sure enough, I volunteered to be on the board of directors. I was elected in. I'm very honored to be part of the very dedicated board of directors. It amazes me how much time people invest, and they, there's no compensation. We get this beautiful shorts, though, I have to say. So, Kevin,
That's right. That's right.
Both you and I are wearing IICRC colors, but when the pandemic started, and we were thinking, we had an emergency board meeting, I remember, and we had crisis because nobody could attend training in person.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is what to do. We pulled together, and this was the beginning of the eLearning. And I want to clarify that eLearning means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but eLearning is really the way we've initiated at the start of the pandemic was live, just like what we are doing right now,
right.
But electronically facilitated on the fact that we could reach out to people, and the students could connect with us and the instructors, and we can continue to have the industry rolling and managing everything that we needed to do at the time. Of course, we hear a lot about eLearning, and just yesterday at the instructors and schools meeting, which was very well done, by the way, Kevin, bravo to you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
We talked about launching the eLearning very carefully here at IICRC, but it's a different type of eLearning. It's the on-demand training, and it needs to be done very carefully. It needs to be done to the best standard possible, because we want our registrants and people that want to become certified to come out of any training. We know that our live training is the best.
Right.
People really rave about our training, our curriculum, our instructors, right. Our standards. We're second to none. So we want to make sure that that level continues on eLearning on demand, and we want everybody, when they take the training, say, "Wow!" So
yeah.
that's the goal.
So you mentioned eLearning, and I know there was a task force for eLearning. There's also been a couple of other task forces since you've been on the board that you have either, let's say, volunteered to be the chair of, or you've been voluntold to be the chair of. I'm not exactly sure on some of those, but I think you've either been chair or vice chair of, I don't know, at least 3, maybe 4 task forces. Talk about that for a little bit, maybe each one of the different task forces, what you've been able to do in a brief amount of time.
Yeah. So, thank you for that, for the voluntold. But, in all fairness, you can voluntold anybody, but they have to agree to
Sure.
take on the task. And one of those, task forces that I chaired was in finding IICRC's CEO and the president. And I have to tell you, we went through many, many, many candidates. And I think Mike Dugduk, that we currently have as our CEO, our task force with me as a chair, I think we found the best fit for our organization. I have to tell you that some of our board members were looking to take that spot. And when we had that final interview and we had Mike really present his vision of IICRC, I had some of the board members come to me and say, Mark, he's a better candidate than me. So I hope that, that is keeps up to that level and maybe even higher. We're always looking for continual improvement. Right. I come from the standards world where, being a representative, U.S. representative for the International Standards Organization, ISO 45005 and 6 for the pandemics. It's always that continual improvement that we have to facilitate.
So you've also been vice chair of, let's see, the COVID papers, or that task force, and yes, y'all produced several different things.
A joint task force for the COVID guides, 5 different editions. We went out to the industry. We got AIHA, we got RIA. We got all together. We put there was so much brain power on those meetings that it was scary. But I think we've put out some quality guidance documents. I think the industry really appreciated that. It was timely. We filled the void. There was nothing there. There was nothing coming from the government. There was, OSHA did not exist, and we didn't know what to do. And we needed to do the work. And I think our guide documents were well received. I am, the chair of the eLearning, and we're hoping for a nice launch there as well.
Yeah. So back to the COVID reports, y'all also put together a paper that allowed our registrants and certified firms to be considered as essential workers right at the beginning. And then I believe you've done something for the freeze in Texas back in February. Y'all produced a paper on that as well. So is there anything else in the works right now for that task force?
Crisis by definition, we don't know when they're going to happen. But our task force is ready and willing to step in. And just, Kevin, as you mentioned, the freeze in Texas, in that part of the country that, was unexpected, something that needed a guidance and some very good information for people in the field. That we got together, we quickly released that. And it was vetted by 20, 30 peer reviewers. So we feel, that we put out quality products and timely.
So does the task force have anything for heat in Texas? Because it's been like well over 100 degrees for the last week and a half here in Texas. So you can help me out anyway there?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because actually OSHA has a huge initiative, and I was on a call with OSHA last week, and this is one of the primary areas of concerns that they're looking at is the heat. Apparently, it's something that, everybody's dealt with, but the repercussions of not dealing with it properly for the workers is severe. It could be fatal. And you know what? Thank you for that idea, Kevin. I think we're going to work on that.
Okay, good. Hey, so what's your biggest takeaway from the COVID task force so far? What sticks out in your mind about that?
Yeah, so tough question, but I will try to answer it in the most comprehensive way possible. Because when you first respond to any crisis, any kind of disaster, you're not thinking what comes after. You're kind of only dealing with what's in front of you. And what we've done with the task force, we were very good in really walking through what is now, what is tomorrow, and what is, comes after. It was hard to imagine. A year ago, we didn't know what it would feel like to be out of the pandemic. Just today, New York State, I'm in New York. The governor opened up the state fully just now. But, we lived through the times where, my kids would come and seek shelter in our home because people were getting COVID on every apartment that where they were residing, and they couldn't ride the elevator, and it was scary. It was really, really scary. We had to fly our middle boy from the West Coast back home here because his company said, you can work from home. And I reminded him home is really where we are. But the fact is, we address certain things as, reasonable precautions in keeping the workers, the restorers and cleaners safe. But we had some alternative voices saying, we're doing too much. We should not be overreacting or reacting. None of this should be done. So we had, quite of a spectrum of opinions that we dealt with. But I think at the end, and this is what IICRC is I think the best at, is finding the consensus, finding that agreement of different parties involved, and coming out with solid and professional guidance.
Yep. And one thing about the task force is y'all have done it with speed. Y'all have got it out in a timely manner so that everybody could have the information when they needed it, not well after the fact. And so that's been appreciated. Hey, you want to do a couple of poll questions? And let's see. Let's see if we know the answers to these poll questions. So question number one, how many editions are there of the COVID-19 pandemic report for professional cleaning and restoration contractors? So we looks like 5 is in the lead on that one at the moment. And what does BSR stand for? So board.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned BSR because currently I'm a vice chair of the infection control standard, the S410. And when you see that on our website, it will not say ANSI standard, it will say BSR because it will be in review, which is what the right answer is.
Correct. Board of Standards Review.
Those guys at ANSI, they sit down and they review things as they should. And the fact is, once it's reviewed and approved, then it will become an ANSI standard.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's good. And the first one, the answer was 5. So we're good there. So, hey, good deal. We also got a trivia question, Mark, if you want to see if we can give away something for the right answer on that trivia question. So let's see. Yeah. So how long do you have to be certified before becoming eligible for master status?
The IICRC messenger bag is lightweight and can hold all of your items for your computer. Take it between your home and office or when you travel.
That's pretty cool. We got a little bag there. I couldn't enter fast enough. I might need one of those bags, Mark. But it does look like we have a winner. Congratulations, Karina.
All right.
Perfect. They will be sending you your bag. So congratulations again, Karina. So, Mark, so we've talked a lot about these task forces and stuff that you've been either chair or vice chair of, but I guess I got another question for you. What's been your most memorable moment being on the IICRC board of directors and, a part of all these standards, consensus bodies, task force chairs, that sort of thing?
Well, I've had many memorable moments. Well, I guess, the COVID task force, I think, is really is something that is still kind of raw. How we would come together several times a week, review data, review information, voice opinions, solicit feedback from the industry. We had insurance people, we had lawyers, we had experts, we had other experts. We really had to decipher through a lot, and I think to me that's the highlight of me working with IICRC. The standards chair, Brendan Burton, is a terrific facilitator. I would join any task force that he's on because I really appreciated the way he ran the meetings and what we were able to accomplish.
That's a really great answer. I'm just surprised that your answer wasn't being on the board with your favorite chairman. That's all. I'm just, it just kind of shocked me that wasn't your answer.
That's a given.
Oh,
Kevin.
okay.
The fact, actually, let me, okay, take it back. My favorite moment is right now.
Hey, you mentioned the S410. Talk a little bit about how that process is going.
We have a really great group of people. We have a very diverse representation of industry. And, we are very much along in completing chapters. We already have a very good, solid outline and the scope and the purpose and we work really well together. And
remind me again, what's the S410?
That's the infection control standard for professional cleaning.
Perfect.
It is led by the chairman, Graham Dick, out of Canada. I hope they open up Canada soon.
Yeah, no doubt.
But otherwise, yeah.
Well, hey, it's been great having you on this show today, Mark. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed it as well. But do you have any closing remarks, anything you'd like to say to your favorite chairman, or whatever, before we close the show?
First of all, Kevin, I want to acknowledge not you, but the deers behind you, and say that you are you should be very proud of not of the deer, but of the kids that those deers are wearing the graduation caps. That's a great achievement as a father. I have 3 boys, and my youngest is going back to school, which is great. My oldest one is pursuing his PhD, and my middle one, the one that came all the way from the West Coast, we brought him back, just quit a very big, firm to start his own business. So, cool. He's bootstrapping, and maybe today I'm going to go buy him lunch, because otherwise he may be in trouble. But otherwise, we should be proud of our kids.
Yes.
I think you've done very good things as a chairman, Kevin. You really straightened the board of directors to the point that we are achieving a lot of good things. We're moving forward. I think we're on the path of greatness, and bigger and better things.
I appreciate that, Mark. And like I said, it's been great having you on the show today, and I appreciate the time. All right, we got a few announcements before we end the show for this month. The new IICRC website is up and running. You may have noticed late last week that it was down for a couple of days. Along with our database, we have some new technology that was put into place Thursday and Friday and over the weekend last week, and it is now up and running. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, make sure you check that out. And for any of our instructors that are looking to get the health and safety technician certification, it will be offered to you right before AIM this year in September. AIM is our annual instructors meeting. And so you can find some information about that on the website. And June is also the month to nominate people for the IICRC Hall of Fame. And so if you have not done that, you can actually go to the IICRC website and nominate somebody for the Hall of Fame. So, and you can find out all the qualifications for that there as well. So again, I appreciate Mark Drozdov joining us. Congratulations to our winner of the Trivia Carina. And until next month, when we join you again on Chats with the Chairman, I am the chairman of the IICRC Board of Directors, Kevin Pearson.